Hey, everybody, welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldai, your host, CEO of P3 Tech Consulting, and publisher at Autonomy Global. Speaking of global, we are in a month that we've dedicated to the theme of global ops, thanks to Fixar, who is our month sponsor. And today we have with us this incredible person, I think one of the biggest brained individuals I've ever met, Jose Martin. He is the CEO and founder of Martin Solutions. And if you've never heard of an FAA designated engineering representative, or DER, that's what this guy is. And we're going to tell you what it means, why it's important, and how he can help you with your global ops. So, Jose, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. Fun fact, everybody, my memory, Jose, is that you and I met last year, I think for the first time at the FAA, what they used to call Drone and AAM Symposium.
Yep.
And we started talking there, and you were telling me a little bit about what you do. And here you are now to tell everybody about what you do. But before we get into that, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself first?
Excellent. So I had been in aerospace all my career. I started in Belcopter, and through Belcopter, I became Transport Canada manager of the Quebec region. And then I worked on policy for the RPAS task force in Ottawa. And then I decided to move to the United States. And basically, I became a DER. In that, I have a special delegation for drones and also manned aircraft. So I can do both worlds, or both sides of the world, from certification to drones that are more within the SAC-C environment at this moment. So, risk assessments, structure analysis. We have a team, and the team has a depth and breadth within what is certification and what is, achieving exemptions, waivers, not only in Canada, not only in the United States, but also in Canada and in other part of the world. We are active with EASA, ANAC Brazil, so the major 4 regulator that is within the certification management team. And for example, now the regulator has a working group working in harmonization of the drones regulation from EASA, FAA, Transport Canada, and ANAC. So that is more or less to give you a very top level understanding who I am and who we are.
So engineering, policy, you've done it all, you're still doing it all. I want to digress for a second and just be clear with everybody about what an FAA designated engineering representative, or DER, is. Can you tell everybody what that means?
So it's a person that has a delegation from the authority, in this case the FAA, to do reviews or put the hat of the authority and provide you a view of, are you going through the right path or not? Also doing the finding of compliance. That is for certification, yes? In the case of a certification program or 2117 Bravo, we can do the testing and do the finding of compliance on behalf of the authority if it is within the letter of authority that we have with the FAA. In the case of 2117 Bravo, we may provide our interpretation of the regulation or provide new regulatory framework that for sure it needs to be approved by, but we can recommend that is within the 2170 Bravo, all the special class type of aircraft. So that is a representative of the authority and has a framework or a delegation scope.
Okay, got it. And we're going to dig a little deeper into 14 Code of Federal Regulation CFR 21.17 Bravo, as Jose was just mentioning. We're going to get back to that here in a second. That's a very special category that people have been leveraging in the drone world and eVTOL world, honestly, to do some interesting things. Okay, so you have this very specialized and interesting delegation of authority from the FAA as a DER. So, what then inspired you to create Martin Solutions? In other words, what's that origin story behind the company?
So the main, being an authority and working in Transport Canada in the policy department and working in certification, you understand what means for the industry to have a clear path to achieve the approval, to achieve that product. In many of these cases, those products provide an excellent road, not only to market, but that product creates better alternative for all of us. Better electrification will reduce emissions, creates or reduce the impact to, for example, you have a lineman doing electrical work, reducing, putting people in danger, yes? So we see us as an enabler of these new technologies, and the fact that we trying to help both sides. The fact that we understand the regulator, the fact that we understand industry, is how we bring to a solution that help these technologies that, we can not only see it as a cause or a danger, but an opportunity to allow a better, I would say, human adapting to the environment, or working better with the environment, but also putting those that are doing a very dangerous work in better situations. So that is basically what the intent that we have.
I love that. So it's somewhat altruistic, trying to make a better world through emerging aviation and helping those companies that are bringing so much societal value come to that certification process and understand it. I mean, look, the bottom line is, Jose, most people probably that are watching this didn't even know DERs existed. And as we talk more, there's going to be orders from the FAA. There's going to be CFR parts that probably they've never heard of that we're just going to be educating them here. But I think it's so great that you're there. I'll call you a bridge between those companies and the civil aviation authorities, like you said, the big four, to on that path to commercialization, on the path to success. So let's talk a little bit about the strategic advantage that this certification that you hold, or this authority, I'll call it, the DER to be exact. What advantage does that bring? In other words, can you look, I'm a lawyer, Jose, so as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, how do you wear both hats? In other words, how do you wear this, let's just say the FAA DER hat, and the Jose Martin Solutions working with a client hat? And can you wear them at the same time to help walk somebody through that process?
I think you're a lawyer, yes, and
Yeah.
one biggest part is to understand both sides.
Yep.
In order to achieve the best result, you need to understand what the regulator is looking for and what your client is looking for. As when you have a client, you can provide advice to the clients. The advice is options, and you need to make sure that those options has the regulator perspective. And what are the problems that he may have? All these options, has benefits and drawbacks. The benefits, you need to provide them for the drawbacks that may have with the regulator, or the benefits that it may have with the regulator. That is basically what we're trying to do here, is to provide those options and make sure that the client has a vision of what the regulator point is, because the regulator is safety. They want to understand that you have, like, for example, let's put an example. You are doing a detect and avoid.
Yeah.
And you are autonomy. You're trying to do autonomy, but you need to present to the regulator a very cohesive safety argument in which you have considered all the potential drawbacks of that technology when you integrate it into the national aerospace system. And that is extremely important. In some cases, clients may consider only one aspect, but you need to provide a complete view. So when it is presented to the regulator, there is a balanced approach that is not only the technology, but has that complete picture of what means to integrate that. Having not only the regulator, but there are other stakeholders, like man aircraft, crop dusters, other people that is navigating there. So you need to consider all that. That is the work that we do. So it's providing options and also language. In a lot of cases, people may not understand each other is because the terminology that they are using. A lot of individuals are coming from Silicon Valley or are coming from the military, and they are using what is known for them, and it can be very, very good. However, it doesn't pass that barrier. It creates a barrier in the communication with the regulator. So it's how you also put that language there in order that people can communicate that. As you're saying, it's the bridge. It's a translator in some cases in order to provide. Another example is the regulations are different between EASA and FAA. A lot of people think that coming to United States, you need to redo everything that you have done. No, not really. In some cases, it needs to be adapted to the regulator of each country, has different needs, has different safety, may be interpreted with differences. And that adaptation is where, in some cases, people get stuck, I will say, because they don't understand what FAA is asking. Meanwhile, EASA asks for something different. But there is different in safety, and the regulator is basically they have a dual hat. In some cases, they need to enable technology. But they need to maintain people's safety. And to maintain to maintain the safety of people, they need to understand also what is the risk appetite that society has. And perhaps you go to another nation or countries, they may have different risk level of tolerance. And that the FAA safety continuum is, I think, it's spot on. And this is a language difference. EASA call it proportionality. FAA call it safety continuum. And both are saying more or less the same, yes?
Yeah.
And both are taking the same stakeholders in consideration, but the wording is just different.
Well, you're saying a lot of things there. I want to kind of jump on what you said. Number one, words do matter. And I love what you're saying, because actually Michelle Duquette, formerly of MITRE, now with 3MAD Air, has been writing for Autonomy Global about a column called Words Matter, from that operational point of view, and explaining how people cross talk each other all the time, because as you said, EASA might have a word for it or a term that's different from the FAA, but perhaps it's the same, or maybe it's the same term that means different things in different places. So very important. But what I want to do, Jose, is kind of bring it back up for a second, just to be crystal clear. You not only provide essentially consulting, right? You also provide engineering, testing. Can you give us kind of that high level overview? In other words, if I'm looking to work with you, what are the things you can offer me as, let's just say, a drone company or an eVTOL company? And I guess that's the second part of this question. I don't mean to make it unwieldy, but it sounds like you're working with component and kind of ecosystem technologies, not just like the frame or the OEM of an aircraft itself, but perhaps a component like avionics or something. So give us that around the world, if you will, of your services and the stakeholders to whom you offer those services.
So we provide an ecosystem. We have partners like we are partnered with the NIAR, National Institute of Aviation Research, AVID, that is Advanced Virtual Environmental Testing. And basically, the intention of that is to support from the starts up to the finish, that is obtaining the approval, the client. The client can be OEM, it can be a Part 23. We're working, supporting parachutes for Part 23 type of aircraft, fixed wing, or we are doing detect and avoid work. That is, and we are trying to help them leveraging the resources that we have internally, or leveraging the National Institute of Aviation Research that has a lot of capabilities, and working together for taking a problem and say, well, how we are going to solve this problem, how we achieve to show to the regulator, one of our stakeholders, that this is safe. For example, we may use Monte Carlo simulations to start an understanding in the case of detect or avoid all the different encounter geometries that we may have. What is the performance of the radar that we are thinking to apply, why that performance is applicable. So we are going to buy data from flight radar, for example, or other parts. We're going to collaborate with MIT Lincoln Labs, and we're going to be working and create a very cohesive understanding of that operation and how we're going to integrate it. So regulator, the company, and partners like the NIAR that provide us an ecosystem in which we can solve very complex problems. NIAR, for example, provide us with very good capabilities on, simulation, digital twins. We work with model-based system engineering is something that we are putting together, and supporting us in having a single source of truth. That is the intention of MPCE, but also is creating and structuring. We help the client to how you're going to do configuration control. The FAA is going to ask for that, and we are going to be providing that guidance on processes. So, and also we have manufacturing partners. We can support you in having that manufacturing capability. So we can do some design for the company in case that the company doesn't have the capabilities to bring the design aspect, in which we can do tooling or test fixtures for testing, yes, within this envelope of providing the information required to the authority. All the testing requirement, we have that capability of saying, oh, we're going to do testing, this is the test that we're going to do, and we can provide the test rigs. We have people that is working in this moment with OEMs. In the case of VTOL, helping them to do key characteristics, and how key characteristics not only is applicable for manufacturing, but how it's going to impact the control systems and the complexity that this aircraft has. Yes, and we are working with them. So there is different areas that we work with, and we have different partners from manufacturing or NIAR with Dr. Olivares and Luis, that we work in collaboration all the time. Or we have, people that is supporting the engineering aspect of that manufacturing to show, for example, aerodynamic smoothness drawings, symmetries, and that kind of the work that we do. So support top level certification, but also in the backbone, we have an ecosystem that support that certification in order to achieve certification, or, in the case of Part 108 that is coming very soon, support the OEM to achieve their objective, that is the acceptance of that product, is getting to yes. But how you get to yes, you cannot do it only with certification. You need an ecosystem that is around it, that provides you all the information and ingredients in order that you can provide the best service possible to those that want to get that yes.
Yes. So, as I'm listening to you, that's why I wanted to ask that question, Jose, just to be crystal clear. This is not, we're a consulting firm. This is, we are an engineering consulting, get it done firm that's doing everything soup to nuts from the time you show up and say, this is the problem we're trying to solve with this particular technology. You brainstorm with the clients, you put together a plan, you have the partners to do the testing, and then you have the know-how to translate that in terms of a safety case to the regulator, whoever that regulator happens to be. That's awesome. I want to do a really quick tutorial, Jose. I did this with on a different show where we talked about aircraft product and type certification. We're not going to go over that. I want to talk about some of these parts you're throwing around because maybe not everybody's familiar with them, right? So let's just kind of quickly, but just to be, kind of thorough, let's talk about the three key ones that you've mentioned. You mentioned 14 CFR Part 23. You also mentioned 14 CFR 21.17 Bravo. You didn't mention Part 27, which applies to rotorcraft, but 23, 27, 21.17b. Kind of give us that high level. What are those? Why do people care? What types of companies are targeting which ones?
So normal category aircraft are already codified under Part 23 and Part 27. Part 33 is engine. So Part 23 is fixed wing. Part 27 is rotorcraft, a small rotorcraft. And then you have Part 29 that are bigger type of rotorcraft. I'm not going to go into the specific, but then you have Part 25 that everyone will know. So is passenger, transport of passengers, kind of business jets. Many of those business jet enters within the Part 25 type of category. So this is what you have codified yet. Now, when you don't have a new type of like VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing electrification, where those regulations are not set for them, the FAA has created what is called a special category that is 2117 Bravo. So all these aircraft that we mentioned, all these different type, enter within the 2117 Alpha. The rest that are a special category is going to enter in 1.2117 Bravo. For example, you have the AW 609, or everyone knows it as 609 type of aircraft, the tilt rotor done by West, I don't remember the name now. Tilt rotor type of aircraft, the 609 is a Part 25 mixed with Part 29 type of regulation. So what is it is that the FAA uses already existing regulations like Part 29 rotorcraft or Part 27, and they pick what they need in order to create the set of regulation that is going to apply to that specific aircraft, that it has novel and new technologies that cannot be put under the, under a Part 25 or Part 29 type of regulation. So they are going to pick everything and they're going to, that is what they did with the electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. They took Part 27, they took some Part 23, they took Part 35. So we're talking about 33 is engine, 35 is propellers, and they put all that together and create the Joby MPRM that was the first one to be released, in which the main language was there. We need to understand how the FAA works too. The FAA starts with a case by case, and that is the difference with another type of regulators like EASA. EASA, they are going to do a regulation and they're going to put it there to create certainty, but the FAA prefers to first understand the technology and creates the basis and work with each one of the applicant. And when they have something that start working or gelling together, they put those NPRMs that we have seen for Joby, Archer, and you will see that those NPRMs in some cases is a chaining war or chaining, but it's substantially very similar. Yes, so that is the difference between 2117 alpha, that is normal category, part 23, part 27, part 29, 33, 35. All of those that you refer are products within the regulatory framework. And then you have 2117 Bravo, that is special category. And then basically we are doing our picking from all those regulations that you have already established, and you are creating a certification basis in order that you can certify that a special category product.
Yeah, no, I want to just quickly hit this, and then I want to go global. Okay.
Okay.
You know, in terms of drones, and I know that's, you know, that's not really a term of art, but I'm just going to use it. You know, the FAA created Part 107 for those, let's call them smaller, right? 50, you know, between 0.55 pounds and 55 pounds, so that you don't have to get type certification. You don't have to get a certification. Anything falling outside of that, bigger, you know, there's different processes. 44, is it 807? Am I saying it right, Jose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is another kind of congressional authority that the FAA has been leveraging to do some interesting things. By the way, everybody, some great articles from Nate Ernst, our energy ambassador for Autonomy Global of all things, because we're seeing some of this being used in that sector for those bigger drones and longer endurance. Do you anticipate, Jose, that Part 108, God willing, it'll come out before this drone and AA policy symposium in 2 weeks, so we have something to talk about? Do you anticipate there's going to be some kind of additional or some new like certification for these kind of operations, like beyond visual line of sight, maybe even bigger aircraft?
So in this case, we're working with two companies that have bigger aircraft. We supported N-State Solution that you know, Charlton Evans. And we supported them with the AATI, the 220-pound bird.
Oh, they're going to be on our show next month, AATI, with Charlton, actually, for Bigger and Better Month.
Nice. So that was the basis of the exemption for 407. We started there. The exemption for 407 uses what is the criteria for making determination. That is said, is like having a certification basis that we spoke before. And the main intention of that is that you basically, they are providing what the regulator wants to see. That criteria for making determination, if everyone knows, there was in one point the FAA released the durability and reliability as a type certification without the 2117 Bravo, and they released a series of NPRM. One of those were Mathernet,
Yep.
but you know, and the only one I think it got certified was Mathernet, if my memory serves me well.
I think you're right.
But the majority of them after that, like Zipline and others, went through the 407. Yeah, so that is an exemption process. That is one part of the equation. If you're doing BVLOS, as you know, AATI team is doing, they are working on how to say, on a waiver in 91-113. So there is two paths. It's not only the exemption for 407, it's also the waiver that is become part of that equation that people needs to understand. And that is the part of the take and avoid, and how, you know, in this current moment, there is no regulation that established what the sense and avoid means for a pilot under 91-113 is, a very top level understanding that everyone has what that means, but there is no performance requirement because that performance is in a lot of cases depending on the risk that you are going to be, your operation is going to be in. So the risk profile become extremely important, understanding that. So other clients has bigger aircraft. Pica is another one that works. I think they are around 1,400 pounds.
I love what they do. I met them last year, actually, at the same symposium I met you.
Yeah, and they already obtained for 400 feet. They have already an exemption for 407 that we work with. And there are other clients that they are not my client, Pica, but I'm giving you example. We have other clients that are working for, bigger aircraft, 1,800 pounds, but there must be a difference here made. So we talk a lot about certification. We need to understand also that the regulations are divided for operations. You have Part 91 operation and you have Part 135 operations. The difference between both of them is one is for hire, Part 135, and the other one is, me going to fly recreational. Usually it's not for hires. Now, except for one point, Part 91 can help you. For example, if you're not going to do activities for hire, meaning you're not transporting cargo for another company, or you're not going to be doing some specific type of activities or transporting cargo or people. In this case, drones doesn't transport people up to now. Whisk will maybe one of them. But the main point here is Part 91 can help you to get the CMD for bigger aircraft because you are not providing or you're not working for hire. So the FAA is going to have different level of risk tolerance for the operations that you are doing and what you are doing with those operations. The Mosaic, that is a new regulation that is going to appear, is opening this a little bit in the future with regards to for hire and not for hire operations. Yes.
So you used an acronym I didn't quite catch, and I don't know what it means. It was CMD or CMP?
CMD, criteria for making determination.
Oh, okay. There you go. See, again, language, words matter, acronyms matter, especially when you're using them. People don't know them. So no, that's good. All right, great. All right, let's go global now. So you, from day one, you were in Canada, you work with those regulators at Transport Canada, you came to the US, you have a relationship with EASA, with ANAC, which is from Brazil, the big four, as you said. Your business was built on global scalability. But look, the reality is aviation regulations are notoriously fragmented. As you said, all right, EASA's got a word for this. It means something different over here. They use the SORA, SORA process. By the way, everybody, great article by Joanna Sorzek from Poland and Yves Morier from France about the SORA process on Autonomy Global. So check that out if you don't know what it is. That's their framework. But you've been harmonizing these things. In fact, you took the SORA process and an FAA order, and somehow you mashed them up in a way that made it more seamless for clients from Europe and US and vice versa to kind of enter those markets. Tell us a little bit about this adaptation of the SORA framework to FAA Order 8040.4.
So 84.4 and SORA process are similar and different. Both are looking for the same. Yes, that is obtaining the integration of a technology within the NAS. Now, there are differences on how EASA, through the JARUS working groups, has, seen that. But there is, I will say, the main objective of both and work that you do is more or less similar. So you need to be able to understand, the 84.4 is not going to be classifying as the SORA does, but you can pick a lot of the information when you do, for example, your analysis through SORA. You can pick a lot of information to fill or to provide back to the 84.4. Both, yeah, go ahead.
Jose, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to be clear with everybody that isn't super familiar, hasn't read the article, or doesn't work in Europe. The SORA, just to kind of put it in a nutshell, it's really air and ground risk are the primary things. So again, we're talking about safety here. And the FAA Order 8040.4 establishes the FAA's Safety Risk Management Policy, or SRM. So when you think about safety management systems, at the end of the day, as Jose is explaining, it's about the risk. And so basically, to summarize it, because our time is flying, Jose. I mean, we could talk to you all day long because you're such an expert. You took the SORA components, translated them for clients, whatever their package looked like for approvals in Europe, to then be able to fit into that FAA 8040.4 criteria. I mean, is that a good summary of what you've done for people?
It is a good summary of what I have done for people in the past. Yeah. And basically, if you may say, like in the SORA, there is a specific sale number that you obtain through doing the ground and air risk. And with that, you're going to have the same number. You're going to have all the OSOs that are applicable. But if you match it, in some cases with 84.4, you can establish a very good relationship. It's not so difficult to that translation, I would say.
And again, for those that don't know, it's gotta love all the acronyms. A SAIL in the SORA world is the specific assurance integrity level. And so there's multiple levels, 1 through, I think it's 5, if I recall correctly. So it's almost like you can build your case to be SAIL 2, where it's almost like templated. And I think what Jose is saying, that he's taken like a SAIL 2 certified person from Europe and been able to translate that into that FAA order for safety risk management to show, yes, this meets the criteria you're looking for from a safety management system process. But all right, we've got like, I don't know, 7-8 minutes left, Jose, and I want to make sure we're covering everything you want to discuss in this show. Clearly, you've established what you do, your background, your expertise, how you help people, some of the successes you've had along the way. Let's talk about kind of what's next. I think you have, if I recall correctly, a dashboard for UAS certification on the horizon. Tell us a little bit more about that, what it is, why it's important, and most importantly, perhaps, when can we expect it?
We have a dashboard that is for safety. So the translation basically of the SORA to the 84.4, but mainly also how to translate the CMD, the criteria for making determination, with the OSOs or the light, what the EASA call it, CS light UAS. So that we are working on that. The authority already did a great set of work, and we're waiting for the CMT, the certification management team, the drone squad. They are working on harmonizing a lot of this regulation to see what is the final result that they have on that, in order to get more gelling into what we are doing right now. But this basically is like a translation tool that we are working on, in which we capture the differences of what is not so different, but they are using different terminologies, which means like we discussed before, proportionality or safety is continuing, more or less the same type of language, representing more or less the same, or something that the authority are not seeing eye to eye. So in some cases you can work, the differences are not so big enough, but in other cases those differences can be big enough that may represent some chaining configuration on the aircraft if you want to cross the pond, as they say. So providing you that analysis of saying, oh, look, if you go in that direction, this is the situation that you're going to be facing.
So what's your timeline for this?
Our timeline, we did a first analysis and it's within the gyrus, is obsolete at this moment, but we have keep it, improving on it. So if you go to the publication of gyrus, Michelle, we did a publication of the difference between EAS and FAA like a year ago. And now we continue ourselves doing that. We think that by the end of the year, with the solidification of Part 108 and the work of the squadron, we will be able to provide a better understanding or have a solidified tool.
So is this going to be like an app? Is this going to be on your website? Do you need a subscription? In other words, how are you going to put this this information out to potential clients or the public?
It will be for the clients that we have mainly through our, our portal in MTech. That is how we're going to be providing that information. Usually what we do is provide a report of the difference that they may experience and why those differences are important for them. Yes.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So about 3 minutes left, Jose. I want to make sure we give you time for concluding remarks for you to, tell everybody out there, a little bit more how they can reach you, learn more about Martin Solutions. But also, I know you're going to be in person in 2 weeks in the DC area at the AUVSI Drone and AAM Policy Symposium. So people can meet Jose there, maybe schedule a meeting with him like I had the opportunity to do last year. And what else? Tell everybody, close us out, Jose. Tell us what we missed, what you want them to know, and of course, how they can reach you.
Oh, look, we're here to enable, as I think is clear, we enable new products, new technologies for this. I think it's going to be a fantastic year for the drone. So just approach us. We have, we work closely with people in Washington, D.C. We work with people. We have many resources that we can provide to companies. We have partners, and we know a lot of people within the community that can help. I think that the majority wants this to happen, of the individuals that are out there. So, just come and ask us questions. We don't have problems to answer questions and to be there for assisting anyone in solving those complex problems. I think more complex is the problem, more we want them. From that point of view, we are humble. We are trying to learn all the time. This new technology show us all the time that there is new ideas out there that we didn't even think about. So we are very happy to have that opportunity of learning. So that is who we are. How you can contact us, 315-296-4975 is my personal cell phone, so you can contact me. We are extremely, approachable. Web page too, or LinkedIn page are the main way of communicating with us.
And your webpage is MTech Aero?
Yeah, mtce.aero is our page.
Okay, that's very important, because if you just Google, you may not find Martin Solutions, but it's mtec.aero. So great. And we look forward to seeing you. By the way, Jose is going to be on our, what we're calling our new Autonomy Global Network. More to follow there. Keep your ears to the ground on that. Big announcements coming up. But we're going to have a live stream from the AUVSI DAPS. He will be on that. You get to hopefully meet him in person. And oh, by the way, the first night of that event, we will be hosting a happy hour. I've been putting it out on my LinkedIn. I have to add it to my website, but sign up. It's free. And Justin, literally within the last 24 hours, Jose's buddy and mine, Charlton Evans from End State Solutions, is throwing down for some drinks. Caresoft is as well, and the Autonomy Global Network. So good stuff there. First 100 to sign up will get their first drink free. So make sure you sign up. Hope to see there, and hopefully you get to meet Jose there that night as well. So that's all she wrote, everybody. Thank you so much, Jose. This has been a learning journey for me, honestly, just speaking with you, and hopefully for everybody else out there. That's all she wrote for today. And next week, two big things coming up. Full Crew Drones Month. So check that out on Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. And next week, we'll have an interesting company that's been a regular on this show year after year, Black Swift Technologies, Dr. Jack Elston from Boulder, Colorado, right up the road from me. Learn what BST has been up to this year, fighting hurricanes and volcanoes and all kinds of things with their drones. So that's all she wrote, everybody. We are out here.